Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, joined, as always, by the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing today?
Wait, I gotta practice my SO so I can do fine. How are you?
There we go.
I gotta do it sometimes, so why not?
I am live on the air trying to change the title of the stream on Twitch because apparently we didn't go live there because the title is invalid. So,
Ew. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's a first.
Yeah, that is indeed a first because I use the exact same fucking thing every week. It's the same copy and paste type of thing. Hello, Mr. Bobby. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the first time that happens.
I guess we're not going live on Twitch today. Oh well. Save changes. I think we're live on YouTube, so that'll.
Let's see.
I did that once a couple of years ago. Yeah. No, I set it to go live, and it automatically puts the same title in all of the things.
Yeah,
so I don't know why it's not working, because it didn't tell me until right when I went live that the title was invalid. So
okay, so we're good on YouTube, though.
Okay, we are good on YouTube. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're here on YouTube. It's a YouTube exclusive. For those of you that watch on YouTube, it's an exclusive for you guys, so congratulations. But we are here for a Wrestivus for the wrestling fans, because indeed we are here to talk about Pro Wrestling Junkie cards, PWJ, but more importantly, this was part of the Wrestivus event. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this show that I happened to get to go to live. I was very excited to go to this show because there were a bunch of names on this card that I had to see live. We talked about New Texas Pro Wrestling. Danny Orion was on this card. Somebody I was excited to see when I heard he was on the card. We also had Darian Richardson, who we've talked about on a couple of other cards. I believe we talked about at least once, if not twice. And we thought we were going to talk about him at a House of Glory show at some point because that's where he's the longest reigning House of Glory Cruiserweight champion. But no, he happens to be here. Somebody who's been on the channel before, Boujii, was on this show, so I was excited to get to see him wrestle live. Finally, I get to join the club of people who have seen Emily Jaye wrestle live and got to meet her, so we'll talk a bit about that. Izzy Moreno was on this card. All kinds of fantastic talent. Unfortunately, that did mean I did have to watch KJ Orso wrestle as well, so, you know. You take the good with the bad, but it is what it is. Yes, Boujii is indeed Bobby's dude. They do have an interview with him on the channel somewhere. I like this event. I sent a picture to Astrid and Bobby when I got there, being like, if I lean forward, I can touch the ring. That's how close I was to the ringside area. Yeah. I missed the barricades. I'll be honest with you. I missed my chaotic barricades that keep me safe from all of the talents. This is one of the more unique venues I've ever been to for professional wrestling. It is deep in the city of Worcester, like in the heart. It's on like Bar Crawl Avenue. So like there are bars everywhere around this venue. Parking was a bitch. I had to park like a quarter mile down the road, because there were 3 shows on this day in this exact venue. This was the third of 3 shows. Yes, I know they don't keep people safe all the time, but they give you the impression that you're going to be kept safe, as opposed to the hope and prayer of watching people dive and go, oh God, are they going to land on people?
I feel like you were a little bit safer because you were not in the middle. I feel like if you were by the entrance area, I feel like that would have been worse. Because that's where everyone is diving in that area.
Also, on top of yes, it is a false sense of hope. I agree, but it's fine. It's more than okay to have a false sense of hope, because it's better than no sense of hope, which is what I had. The other unique thing about this venue, more than just the location of the building itself, is the location of the area of the building that they use. This building has multiple uses. Downstairs in one portion of this building is an actual bar. Downstairs in another portion of this building is a nightclub. Upstairs on the second floor and I'll never understand why wrestling companies use the second floor of any building for their professional wrestling, was the professional wrestling ring. Always terrifies me. Always terrifies me to be on the second floor of any building at a wrestling show. But they run this building every Thursday forever. So I'm fairly confident they know what they're doing when it comes to I had a ball from beginning to end. There was only one match that continuously lost my focus on the entire card. We'll get there. Because it's a happy and a sad thing. I am also sad that we're not on Twitch because Millie watches on YouTube. So if she does watch this, she'll know. I was in conversation with Millie 3/4 of the night on this show because I was seated getting ready to sit down for my show. And I looked across from me in the crowd and I saw Marty Bell.
Oh.
And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what? Why is Marty Bell randomly, like, at an indie show, two, at this particular indie show? Having talked to the wonderful Millie, who knows all of these things, she's dating one of the professional wrestlers on this show. So she was there helping him work his merch line, helping do things like that. So I did get the opportunity to tell her that Millie says hi and get a picture. It was fun. Amira was still here from an earlier show. Lily Rodriguez was still here from an earlier show, La Pescarita. It was fun to watch the talent be there to enjoy the show as a fan. I've never seen professional wrestlers enjoying the show as a fan as much as I did on the show. Because after their matches, a good majority of the people would just start to matriculate to their booths, not necessarily selling merch, but sitting at their merch table, watching the show as a fan. And that was really cool, with a couple of really interesting exceptions. And I can't wait to talk about those people who I really caught watching the show as we go. Ashley, what did you get watching the show online? Because obviously I've watched it both online and in person. You've only seen the show online. What'd you think?
I like the vibe a lot of, like, overall how it felt. I feel like I didn't have particularly any matches that were like low for me that didn't keep my attention like I thought they would. There was one that was a little bit different from what I expected it to be, that we'll talk about a little bit later. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I feel like the only thing was I didn't enjoy commentary as much. They were cursing quite often, and that's the part that I was like, do we really need to do this many efforts in the 2.5-hour show? It felt like a lot at that point.
They're from New Jersey. You have to understand they're trash.
I don't care, but either way,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. For those who are from New Jersey who watch us, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It just felt like it was too much at that point.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't recall of anything that really stood out to me with commentary. I wish it would have done a little bit more of like talking about the people, even though they don't have like storytelling per se, but at least talk about the people that in the ring. I think the one that they talked about the most was Izzy, because one of the guys said, "Oh, I didn't believe in her at first, her being a fan jumping into this, but now I see her dedication. I feel differently about her." That was kind of like a summary of what he was saying. But other than that, there wasn't like storytelling of like, oh, this person did that, this, and that, and there's no background to them either. So I feel like that's something I would have liked to hear more often. Maybe I missed it. But that's the only thing that I feel like they were lacking of. I wish you would have told it. Even though there's no storytelling, at least tell us like the story of the person itself. As like a character, maybe a background story of them, or maybe something that they did in the past or anything like that. And I wish I would have done a little bit more of that background. The other one I remember hearing more often was, I think it was about Tracy Williams, if I remember correctly, or Lord Crewe, one of the two, that apparently they got injured. So we were talking about and that person's injury. But like I said, it's like the background wasn't there very often.
Yeah, I didn't love commentary either, but then again, I got to enjoy this both with and without commentary, so it was fun to kind of do both. I enjoy a little bit of vulgarity from my commentary team. I didn't hate that. I thought these guys were at least into it, whereas there have been commentary teams that we've talked about before that were relatively boring. I will say these guys were anything but boring on commentary. I don't know how much they added to the show, but I know that at points I felt like they kind of detracted from the show, but at the same time, I at least appreciated having them more so than not. The show starts off with the return of Samira coming back to the professional wrestling world and taking some time off for a death in the family. So, we're glad to have Samira back. Samira is obviously somebody that Astrid knows, as she's, I believe, done work with her or done an interview. We were on a panel, I believe, or something like that.
Both, yeah. I interviewed her and I did a panel with her too.
Yeah,
so I met her. She's one of the few people I met in real life.
Yeah. I was going to say, it was one of those opportunities where I wanted to, but everybody wanted to talk to Samira that night, so it was a little bit tough to get to her.
Yeah, so at least you met two people that I've met in that aspect, because I met Emily too. So.
Yeah. So I thought it was fun. Something slightly different than something we're used to is on the IWTV broadcast. You know how you have that like MTV type intro?
Mm-hmm.
Samira came on just before they ran that and hyped up the crowd and counted us down, so that as that was playing for you on the TV, what you're not hearing live in the venue is Samira's on the microphone counting to the end of that to get us hyped, to get us loud, to get us ready for the show. We have our opening match, which is a tag team title match that doesn't stay singles match for long. The Miracle Generation, Dustin Waller and Kylon King. Dustin Waller, by the way, working show 4 of 4 on the day for this show.
Jeez.
Like, let's just understand, that poor bastard worked an 11 a.m., a 1 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and then an 8 o'clock show on that Saturday. He was busy. And of course, his tag team partner, Kylon King, the Miracle Generation. We've talked about them a handful of times. We love talking about the Miracle Generation. Taking on New Fever of Danny Orion and Shimbashi. Shimbashi is a name that I've heard but never had the opportunity to see. These guys are full of energy. They are fun, they are interesting, and they are different. And then, as we're getting ready to have that, the main event comes out. No, not the main event match of TJ Perkins and Charles Mason. No. Bobby's favorite tag team in the entire world, the main event of Midas Black and Jaye Lyon, come out. They were supposed to be in the match that crowned the tag team champions, but they were unfortunately unavailable. This is the first time they've appeared in this neck of the woods in about 2 years, as Midas Black had said in the promo. And I can confirm that because I had forgotten that they run this part of the world very often. I thought they were running somewhere else because of that I hadn't seen them in so long. I do love this act. I think that they're full of energy. They're full of high-flying stuff. And they just have a vibe. When that music hits, that room changed. Because they were unannounced. They weren't announced as they were going to be in the building. And the worst part is I knew they were there because I was standing in line waiting for them to go in. And somebody who was at an earlier show, who was working backstage for the CZW show before this, happened to see them in the building and was telling a buddy of his who's 2 people ahead of me that Midas and Lyon are in the building. And I'm like, shit. The surprise was ruined. Damn you, fan. Damn you to hell, sir. But we turned this into a triple threat match. Ashton, what did you think of the triple threat tag team match here?
Well, firstly, I was going to say that's when you use your inside voice and you whisper it. Come on, people, don't spoil it for everybody else. No, I feel like this is the type of matches that I like. I like starting off with not only the tag team match, but having a match that is so fast paced to begin the show and get everybody hyped up and get the energy going to begin with. So that's what really got me like attached to this match. I feel like that all the teams did very well. I like the fact that this is kind of like what we always compliment about NXT, those type of matches that there's always something going on. There was no moment that there was like a break or anything that slowed down. It's go, go, go from bell to bell. And I really enjoy the fact that they all kept messing up with each other. It's like everybody got involved somehow. And there was no moment that I could be like, okay, let me breathe. It was rare, one of those moments that you could like, it was slowed down because it really didn't. I thought it was fun. I think one of the parts that it made me laugh a lot was when Jaye Lyon is how you say it? Lyon?
Yeah, Jaye Lyon. He's like the lion from a circus.
Yeah. First, it made me laugh at one point where his wig just flipped over. I forgot what one of the guys did to him, and you could see the wig kind of fall. But my favorite part with him is that he did a dive through the hula hoop at one point. that Midas was holding. And I thought that was so fun. And I was like, I like how different this was, how on point it looked, and how like it was on point for their characters to do something like this. And it did really well. And I loved how it looked. So I feel like that was one of the things that really stood out. So I think it's so fun to get to do, be able to do something different with the hula hoop involved in here, and to be able to like obviously go through it while you're doing the dive thing. I feel like that was so cool. So it definitely stood out to me throughout this whole match. But again, it's one of the things with this match particularly too. As much as I love Miracle Generation, I feel like anybody could have taken this match too. That's another thing. It's like it felt, even though I had a feeling they would retain, it felt believable that anybody could have taken the titles at this point. And that's what I like the most about this match, that it felt more unpredictable in that sense of it, because I feel like anybody could have taken it in the end. But I'm glad they still retained.
Yeah, fun story about more fun about Bobby's favorite tag team, the main event. Jay Lyon is a bit of a prankster. When he gets dumped to the outside sometimes and he knows he's got a couple minutes, he likes to go outside the ring, grab people's shoes, and untie them. However, he ran into a problem when he got to mine. I have a leg swelling problem on one of my legs, or one of the legs is severely swollen. So I have to have shoes that are a bit bigger than my feet can allow to attribute for the swelling. These shoes are knotted 5 ways. Like, I don't double knot. I like triple, quadruple, and like quintuple knot these things so that they don't fall off. This poor man sat on the outside for 1.5 minutes using both hands while talking to me about Bobby Munson. Because I told him about how Bobby Munson doesn't like the main event because when they're running MLW, when they used to do MLW reviews. So yes, Bobby, Jay Lyon knows that you're not a fan. Jay Lyon knows that you're not a main event believer in the main event. He laughed. He thought it was great. He loves the fact that some people just don't like their act. It's hysterical. Mm-hmm. But he didn't give up. He actually untied the entire, and he looks up at me as he's getting there, and he's like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "It's fine. I don't care." I'm like, "I got a 1.5 minute meet and greet with you here while you're on the outside." Meanwhile, the entire time, Midas is sitting right in front of me, watching the ring to know when the spot is that they need to go back in the ring. Midas is dead focused on the ring to know the spot that he has to use to get back in. Hello, Brett. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate you stopping by. Normally, you'd be on Twitch, and again, we apologize for there not being a Twitch show tonight. StreamYard decided it didn't want to stream to Twitch because reasons. We still don't know why they've decided not to do this. I love this match. I've seen this act of Jay Lyon jumping through the hula hoop, and I think it is one of the coolest things in all of professional wrestling. I really do. It's such a, they understand the act of the big top, of the circus. They bring the circus to the wrestling ring, and they bring the energy of a circus to the match. Danny Orion and Shimbashi were fantastic. I can't wait to see more of them, even if apparently in interviews I've heard that Danny Orion loves to shit talk his tag team partner, which must be why I love Danny Orion so much, because he just loves to sometimes shit talk his tag team partner. Because I watched an interview with Danny Orion shortly after this, where he was just running down Shimbashi, talking about how much he hates tagging with Shimbashi. And he's got the biggest, like, shit-eating grin smile on his face as he's doing it, just because he loves to give his tag team partner crap. By the way, Danny Orion, the new Texas pro wrestling champion. There's too many news in that sentence, but he defeated one called Manders to win that championship that we talked about when we were trying to figure out who was going to be the one to take on Manders and defeat Manders. Danny Orion. So it's good to see him here. I love this match. Miracle Generation do get the win. It makes a lot of sense. Miracle Generation keep the titles. They didn't do the Miracle Generation spot, which I thought was funny. We talked about it. What the last show we did, we talked about the Miracle Generation spot, and then they didn't do it. I was so disappointed that they didn't do the spot. But I love this match. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out New Fever, please definitely check out New Fever. They are fantastic, and I can't wait to see what comes next for these 3 different tag teams, as I'm going to continue keeping an eye on PWJ. But we move along to our next match, which is our first women's match of the night. Which, by the way, there are, I believe, 2 singles women's matches on this card. Yeah, well, 2 women's matches on this card, both singles matches. This is the only singles women's match. It is Kylie Alexa, who we've talked about way more often than I ever thought I would, doing a show about independent professional wrestling and never covering the NWA. Taking on Bailey's biggest fan, the Lodestone 2's alumni, Izzy Moreno.
The real BFF.
That's how she's introduced to the crowd. I will say, though, I was so proud of my Worcester crowd for not buying in to the whole that Izzy's the good guy because of the fact that she's Izzy Moreno, and they were cheering for Kylie Alexa too.
But there was a mix at one point too, which I really liked too at the beginning.
For most of these matches, the crowd is not, by any means, the crowd is in most of these matches is not sold on one or the other. I think there's only one match on the entire show where people are like, this is the person we want to root for.
Yeah, but there was at one point they were cheering. They had a for both, but it didn't last too long though, which is it made me laugh at one point when I heard it. It's like, I like the fact that you kept chanting, but then you couldn't decide if you wanted to continue, so then you stopped. But I like this match though because it was really of a surprise for me. I like the fact that they show off Kylie being more like the veteran here. She's very confident and cocky. It's like, oh, I got this, versus like, is it be like the rookie out of the two? And she really shows up that experience that's, throughout so many points in the match. It's like, oh, I can do this because I know more than you sort of thing. And I like the vibe that she's able to do that throughout the match, only to lose when she gets surprised by all of a sudden the roll up it was from the rookie. The way it happened is like, here I got the last laugh in the end sort of ending that we got from Izzy. So I thought that was funny to begin with, but I like the back and forth they had here, and I like seeing Kylie even more every time I see her. I was like, it's pretty good to get to see her without watching NWA, to be honest.
Yeah, it's great to not have to watch the NWA.
Yeah.
Granted, I would love to see more of her and Kenzie together. Like, I like the idea of the two of them together. But the fact that we're getting to see Kylie Alexa on her own, in her own space, in her own vein, and being able to give off her own energy is fantastic. Her coming out to one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite artists is not, an interpretation on how much I love her, but I do, because coming out to Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne is indeed a vibe for me as a kid who grew up when that music was big in high school. I was surprised by Izzy here. We've watched her a fair amount of times throughout the year that we've been doing this show as an indie show, because we're coming up on a year of doing this show without covering NXT. And I was so impressed because, again, kind of like the commentator, I didn't take Izzy for real and for granted until I saw her perform in front of me. Until I physically saw her in front of me doing the thing, I didn't really understand how good she really is. And again, I'll agree with you 1,000%. I thought Kylie Alexa was the perfect person to lead her through this because she's got just the right vibe to go up against somebody like Izzy Moreno and the Bailey-esque attitude of an Izzy Moreno. Yeah. Like the whole thing in the beginning of like giving out the friendship bracelets like Bailey used to give out the headbands, and then going ahead and giving one to the referee for Kylie to be like, no, that's a bribe. How can you do that? And again, you hate it when the heel's right because she's right. You can't give Gina a friendship bracelet. That's bribing Gina. Kylie's right. Mm-hmm. Gina shouldn't have been allowed to referee the match. But like, I love how it plays into it where then Izzy's like, I have one for you. And it's in all purple, like Kylie's gear. Like, yes. I didn't know if that came across on the camera, but I know in person we could see that it was indeed a purple friendship. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. To the point where not only is Kylie's gear color coordinated, but it's color coordinated to the press-on nails that she uses. And the reason why I know that her gear is color coordinated to her gear is because of the fact that during the match, Kylie Alexa's finger.
Wait, let me see that. Hold on.
The ring light is gonna screw with it. But there you go.
No. You ended up with souvenirs too.
Look, it fell right at my feet. And with the amount of people getting thrown out of the ring that close to me, I wasn't going to let somebody fall on a big plastic fucking, basically a spike. So I just figured my intention was to have her autograph it. Like, ideally, the idea was to have her autograph it.
Yeah.
Like, it felt, because obviously I can't take something like this from her. So obviously if I have this, it came off of her. So I'm like, I thought it would be cute to have her autograph it. Problem is, Kylie Alexa, the heel that she is, doesn't do meet and greets. Doesn't sell merch. The only time I saw her after her match, she was in a hoodie hiding in the corner of the room. Trying to hide from people. I love this match, though. Kylie Alexa is growing to be one of my absolute favorite competitors. It's just really fun to see. And to see Izzy growing. And to see Izzy really just being... She's no longer Izzy the fangirl from NXT. Like, having seen her live now, she's just Izzy Moreno, the pro wrestler. Like, she's still all the things she was before. But that's not who she is. That's not what she is. She's a wrestler in her own mind, and she's really good at it.
No, for me, it feels weird because being that I was there for the Iron Woman match when, like, Sasha Mercedes took out the headband from her, started putting it and mocking her in the ring, which I would never forget as a heel. That was one of the best things I had ever seen it done to a child at that point. But to see her where she was there, because I saw that in person, to seeing her now, and I still see it, I can't believe it's the same person. It just feels so surreal. Because I'm like, how did you grow up so fast?
Yeah, it makes me feel fucking old as dirt when I saw her and being like,
it doesn't help.
Yeah, no, I
like it when I hear Izzy, the name Izzy itself. I just picture that little girl with the headband and the barricade in NXT, and I can't picture that same girl that I'm watching now wrestle. So it definitely does feel weird and bizarre to watch her now sometimes.
But that's going to end that match. We're going to move on to our next match, which is indeed a 6-way scramble match. Oh boy, do I have some stuff to talk about in this. Yeah. My two people of like ones to watch are in this match. Two people that I didn't know at all whatsoever, like names I had never heard of that I am not going to forget. And I've already followed them on social medias. I've already met one of them. I've talked to both of them and told them that we were doing this show because I wanted to make sure that they understood how much I appreciated their work here. Bobby Orlando, everybody's favorite Bob, taking on Raheem Royale, Darian Richardson, Mateo Marcellus, who, we're going to talk about Mateo, and Shane Rose. And the sixth surprise entrant that we didn't know of until the time of the event, Gabby Forza, the Nomi, was here, which I was very excited to have the Nomi here because, of course, we knew she was in the area. She had worked other shows on this day. She was set for shows the next day. It's obvious they were in town. I was hoping she was going to be the extra because I do love watching Gabby work live. I really do. But we have to talk about two individuals in particular, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun talking about Diamond Virago, Darren Richardson's valet for this match. But Raheem Royale, this dude is insane. He is tall, he's lanky, he's fantastic. He comes out to like Michael Jackson. It was great. But the coolest thing is because this is a 6-person match, and he was the second person to come out after Mateo, he stood out of the ring to allow to everybody can get their things in. And me and him are just chit-chatting and vibing to everybody's music. To Shane Rose's cool music of like, it's like a Smooth Operator type song. To running down Darren Richardson as he comes and makes his entrance, being the big shot that he is. To the sheer look on his face as he experiences the entrance of Bobby Orlando inside a Worcester wrestling arena for the first time. Because I don't know if it comes off over the air, because again, I don't exactly remember how it comes off over the air. But when Bobby comes out, that crowd popped for Bobby Orlando. Hello, Lewis. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. So again, vibing for that. And then me and him just kind of going, who's it going to be? Like, he knows who it is. He's seen her backstage. He knows she's in her gear. But it was cool to have that whole thing as Gabby comes out. I love this match from beginning to end. There's nothing bad about this match. From Gabby making her entrance with Mateo Marcellus over by the merch tables, trying to rub Bobby Jr., who is the GOAT that Bobby Orlando brings to the ring, is Bobby Jr. To Shane Rose trying to pick up Diamond Virgo during the match. By the way, I've never heard somebody so offended to be called gorgeous in her entire life. She was like in character, legitimately pissed off. He was like, hey, gorgeous, as he's looking directly at her. The entire row that because she's standing right in front of us, like me and like the 5 guys that I'm sitting next to. And it's all guys on this entire row. And there's no second row behind us. It's just the front row on this side. And she's looking when he says, hey, gorgeous, like it's not her that he's talking to. And then, of course, it's just a ploy to let Daron Richardson get the upper hand on him. It's great. The crowd got into Shane Rose and his whole vibe. Raheem Royale doing the who is it in NXT that does the spot? Is it it's Javon Evans who does the corner spot where he runs from one ring corner to the other and then jumps all the way over the actual turnbuckle pad to the outside. Raheem Royale does that. Chef's kiss. Love it. Fantastic. Never seen that live. So glad I got to see it live. That was fucking fantastic. Shane Rose and Raheem Royale are my number ones to watch on this match. These guys were absolutely fantastic. Great chemistry with everybody in the everybody kind of just did the things they needed to do to make a 6-person match work. People in, people out, Diamond Virgo getting involved. But while he's not my one to watch, playing the crazy dude gimmick is hard to do well because so many people have done it well and so many people have done it differently, with the straight jacket coming to the ring, with the face paint, with the weird maniacal way he talks to people and looks at you and like interact with the wrestlers and the fans. Like, this dude is all in on that gimmick when he's around that curtain. I adored his work, but my 2 to watch were Raheem Royale and Shane Rose. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, and you probably haven't because I hadn't until I looked up his social media after this, a few nights before this show, Raheem Royale was working a House of Glory show, and he did one of the Jeff Hardy TLC 2 match things where he was on top of the actual like barricade above like a raised entrance and did a swanton through a table.
Jeez.
on that show. This dude is legit the king of the air. I love this match from beginning to end. Of course, the bastard heel Darian gets the win, as he is the longest reigning House of Glory Cruiserweight champion of all time. I love everything about this match. All of these people are great to watch. You should watch all of them. But if you have to catch 2 that you've never heard of before, Raheem Royale, Shane Rose, can't miss. These guys are fantastic. And wonderful people, too, because I talked to both of them.
Yeah, I think I like what you said about Mateo, because that really stood out to me with him with the straight jacket and that he was all in for his character. So I definitely give him props for being that way throughout, from the entrance to the end, to be honest. And it's one of the few people that I've seen so dedicated to portraying that character from beginning to end. So when I saw the straight jacket, I was like, oh, I'm it's calling my attention. This is curious. It's like, it's weird to see somebody doing that, because usually most people, if they do anything like that, they'll probably take it off. But no, he was walking so like maniacal, like slowly and everything with the whole jacket thing. It's like, oh, okay, I see you with the character, and I like the dedication to it. I think I call it like my fun spot of the match was when he did the sleeper to Gabby, and Gabby basically started hitting everybody in every single corner that was in every corner possible. It's like the fact that she wasn't down in the sleeper part of it, but she kept backing out and hitting everybody in every single corner, but Matilda's still hanging on to her while she's hitting everybody in the corner. That was fun to watch. And I really love that. It's like the fact that he didn't give up, but she also didn't give up on her in either. That was I really like that. The part that kind of made me laugh was why they had almost like a Tower of Doom sort of move at one point, and Bobby Orlando's the one in the other end of it, almost almost getting kicked out of it. It just looked funny from my end when I started watching it. Again, it's like I like this is almost like I said earlier. It's like those NXT matches that there was so much going on, and there was always something happening in the ring. There was no quiet moment in this match either, and I like the fact that it was fast paced and there's so many things happening at once that you can't even keep up with everything that's going on. I think one that's really Diamond really stood out to me at ringside too. I feel like her overall like demeanor, her attitude, and her character, the way it was, and the confidence at the end when Shane wins too. So I think that was very um overall something that really stood out to me aside from Mateo's character too.
And Daron wins the match. Shane unfortunately
Yeah,
did not
yeah.
get Daron does not, unfortunately, get the
Mhm.
big win, which was sad to see. And by the way, for those who don't know who Daron Richard is, and give me just a moment because I do have. This is one of the few matches that I did remember that. Oh, by the way, I have a camera, and I should,
I was about to say, I noticed that you were mostly watching, at least on the little bits and pieces that I could see you from the camera. And I was like, he's not even taking pictures. I was so surprised.
Yeah, no, I often take pictures, and I just tried to really enjoy the show as best I could. It was different for me. Let's say the least.
Yeah.
Most Astrid's used to seeing like 6,000 pictures from me during a show, and all of a sudden she got like 5. Like I literally just went through it. The spot of Gabby using Mateo as a weapon, and again, this is how close I am. This is not zoomed in. This is as far out as it gets on my phone. And of course, Daron Richardson after the big win with that fucking hair. Like I don't know how he sees anything through that hair. Oh my God, is he talented? Let's not get it twisted. He's not Donovan Dorjak talented, but he's very talented. I love this match. I thought it was great. All right, hold on. I've got to get some haterade. Hold on. Okay, we move on to our next match, which was our strong style rules match between Hot Sauce Tracy Williams and Lord Crewe. Now, you say, why, Ed, would you need haterade for a match involving Lord Crewe and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams? Hot Sauce Tracy Williams is a fantastic competitor. He is. Lord Crewe is a dude. Like, he's a massive, no, the camera at the arena doesn't capture how imposing this fucking dude is. Like, he's tall, he's big, he's built, he's tatted. Like, he's something else. I was not I'd seen pictures and still was surprised looking at this guy. However, for the life of me, no matter how many times I tried, my ADD would not let me pay attention to this match. I was watching Shimbashi watch this match across from me over at the ringside table as him and Danny Orion are sitting over there. I was watching Marty Bell watch this match from Lord Crewe's merch table over on that side while she's sitting next to La Pescarita and Amira. I am watching everything and anything except these two people having this fantastic match. The other thing I'll tell you is, yes, I've watched this show. Happy birthday, Mel. I know today's not exactly the day. It was yesterday. And we all said it to you in the chat. But you're here now, so we get to say happy birthday to you while you're here as well. And just because it's your birthday, normally I wouldn't do this, but it is your birthday. Sweet. That's enough Eddie Thorpe. That should get her attention. Anyways, I watched this show back, the entire show back with Mama Fries. So because she wanted to see the show that I had watched, that I had been to, and whatnot. I'll tell you, even watching the show back on demand so that I could pause it if I needed to, if I started to stray off the show, I still didn't watch this match. For the life of me, I could not, for the life of me, pay attention to this match. I don't know what it is. I enjoy strong style wrestling. I enjoy hard knock strong style wrestling. Nope. My attention span was gone. I've watched this particular match back. Yeah, there we go, Squee. I've watched this particular match back a third time. It's fine. But that's about it. And again, I see Ashford has this in her notes, and it's the one thing that I wanted to talk about during this match, and I'm going to say it here.
Well, he quoted that. He got it from my notes, people.
Yes, it's also the one thing that I remember from this match, because trust me, you won't forget it. During the middle of the match, the bell just suddenly rings.
You know, from my perspective, I can see what was happening.
Yeah.
From yours, I guess you didn't notice it.
No,
no, the count.
I was paying attention to everything and anything, and all of a sudden, I just heard the bell ring, and I'm like, "What happened?" And I see Gina going, "No, 2." And she's out.
Yeah, that's something that it really stood out to me, because when I was watching it, and I only watched it once too, I could see that she has a 2 when she goes for almost like the 3 count is very, very close, to the point that I guess the people from the bell, like, they saw the 3 count instead. So by sudden, I'm like so concentrated watching it, doing my notes. So I'm not even paying attention to her count. And all of a sudden the bell rings. I'm like, nobody tapped out. No, there was no 3 count. There was a 2, as Lisa said, 2.999, but it wasn't a 3. And I was like, what just happened? All of a sudden I heard going, no, it was a 2, and it was a 2. And I went back and I could see the clip again. I was like, oh, I could see why from their perspective it looked like a 3, because it was that close. But the part that the moment it just happened, I'm like, wait, did I lose focus for a moment and blanked out on what happened and I missed it? I thought it was something bigger than what I thought it was gonna be, but I just noticed it was just her with the 3 count.
Yeah, no, I lost focus during this match for a good 20 minutes each time I watched it. And again, it's unfortunate, because I've watched numerous Tracy Williams matches, and I love watching Hot Sauce wrestle. I think he's great. The crowd really didn't like Lord Crewe. He's not a happy, like, there was a fan who brought a Lord Crewe sign, little kid who's a Lord Crewe fan, and he admired it and then threw it away, like, just picked it up and tossed it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you asshole! Like, come on! Like, this is the one person in this entire crowd who wants to cheer for you other than Marty, and you throw her sign away? How dare you, sir? Yeah. How dare you?
And we can see that on camera too.
Oh yeah. The one thing I will say is that this PW Junkies camera crew, this 2-man crew, they were insistent on getting every shot. Mm-hmm. Like, they have a guy on one side of the ring, they have a guy on the other side of the ring. They don't care if you see the other guy in their shot. All they care about is getting the right shot for the right portion of the show. Fantastic work by this camera crew. Got to give these 2 guys a shout out, especially the guy who works this entire show in shorts. Like, he wears like almost like jort shorts, but they're like stylized like jorts. But he works it in that. I'm like, because you figure, like, with the guys like bending down and kneeling and whatnot to get the right shot. No, dude's in shorts. So more power to him. We're going to go ahead and move on to our last match before our intermission, which was indeed a no disqualification match for the Pro Wrestling Junkies Massacre title. That's a name for a championship. The Massacre title. Between Jaye Boujii and wanted dead or alive top 5 Sammy Diaz. And again, this is where the crowd was entirely split. Because again, you had the Pro Wrestling Junkies crowd who is so into Jay Boujii as their champion, somebody who worked for their promotion time in and time out. And you have a guy making his debut for the company, but who works in this building time in and time out, who this crowd knows and loves. And you had throughout this crowd, there are two guys who I got the chance to go up to, and I didn't get their names, but I did go up and say hi to them because they were instrumental in leading crowd chants the entire night. And during my favorite part is during one of these, he's yelling at Sammy Diaz and he goes, "I've got a parlay on 5 matches and everything's gone right, Sammy. Don't fucking lose." And it just killed me. This match is fucking fantastic. These guys are killer great. Seeing Sammy Diaz work in person for the first time was just sensational. I loved everything about this match. I was in from the moment they got to the ring. This match felt like it took forever, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I didn't respect Jay Boujii in the way I thought I needed to. Because I'd never really seen him work. I knew of him. I knew that we had an interview with him with Parrish and Bobby on Busting Out in the early days of our local establishment where they had him on the show. I knew he was in the PWI at one point during that year, and that's one of the things that got him on the show. This dude is fucking fantastic, man. These guys had a killer match. They went out there and sold. Sammy Diaz may be one of the most underrated talents. And the great thing is having now had time between this show when it happened and being able to talk about this show this week as opposed to when we were supposed to talk about it last week, I've gotten to see one more Sammy Diaz match in between, which is a match against JT Dunn from last Friday night at Chaotic. Let me tell you, Sammy Diaz, heel or face, works the exact same match with an entirely different style, doing the exact same moveset. But because he's a heel or a face, it changes the order of the way he runs his match. And it's just chef's kiss fantastic. Sammy Diaz needs to be seen by somebody on a bigger platform, whether it be TNA, whether it be AEW, whether it be Ring of Honor. Somebody needs to get a hold of Sammy Diaz because this guy could be the future of any of these companies. That dead or alive top 5 gimmick has legs on television. Whereas some of these people, like we've seen Eric Academia being kind of, unfortunately, torn apart on WWE Twitter for not getting the anime girl gimmick. And we've talked about how a Joe Hendry gimmick works for so long on certain TVs, but is it going to be able to translate to the biggest audiences in the world for an extended period of time? I think you can translate a Sammy Diaz gimmick, this top 5, especially if you pair Sammy Diaz with some form of a Booker T style thing like Trick Williams has. I think if you package them with because Booker T had his Fave 5, I think if you have some kind of Sammy Diaz Booker T Fave 5 top 5 thing, I think you can really package that to the moon in a WWE or an NXT. Jay Boujii gets the win with an incredible destroyer. I mean, I've seen destroyers. We've all seen destroyers. None of them are as good as the Canadian destroyer, but this damn thing was sensational. Another level. Astrid, why are you giving it a thumbs down? How dare you? Astrid has Apple, and she apparently did a thumbs up, but then she turned her thumb down, and so the thing popped up on my screen, and it was a thumbs down. It's fantastic.
I didn't even notice I was looking at you.
I know. You're always looking at me. But anyways,
Hey.
Go ahead and talk about Jay Boujii and Sammy Diaz.
Yeah, this one I really enjoyed it. I like the fact that the moment I saw him, I had to message him like, wait, I know Jay Boujii. We've seen him before. And I was like, wait, he's been on our Elite House. And he took me a moment to remember. But what I wish I would have done a little bit more is that this is a no DQ match and they barely take advantage of that. I feel like that's my only critique. Not within the wrestling itself, but I feel like they could have done more. They did stuff outside, which I really liked. Especially there's a moment that Sammy does some kind of crossbody from the top of the entrance, which is a little bit higher from where everybody's sitting at, to Jaye, and things like that. I liked it. And we had at one point that Jaye also has a championship he wants to hit Sammy with. But I feel like other than that, unless he would have told me, I wouldn't have believed this was an ODQ match. Because I feel like they could have definitely used more weapons if they had any, or used anything they could put their hands on. I feel like that was the only like major, like, I want to say like negative in my aspect of it with this match. Is like I was expecting more stuff with weapons since it's no DQ. Take advantage of that, especially as a champion. And but another thing that really stood out to me too is that while Jaye has that struggle with the championship and he wants to use it, the referee wants to take it away from him. I was like, no, it's an ODQ match. Why are you trying to take it away from him? So I feel like it in that moment it made me think, like, is it not a DQ match? Like it's supposed to be. So why would you take it away from him? It's not a regular match. So I wonder if there was some kind of miscommunication in that aspect of it, because the referee does look like, hey, kind of give it to me, don't use it. But like he's allowed to use it. It's an ODQ match, and that's one of the few spots like they feel like they could have done more if there wasn't like that pull from the referee there. Um, so that's the only thing that made me doubt if the match was no DQ to begin with. I like with the timing too. At one point, they do the Pele kicks to each other back to back. That was very fun to watch. I was not expecting one and then the other one right after, so I really liked that one as well. But yeah, overall, I love the pacing of this match. This is one of those, like you said, it felt like it lasted a while, but I enjoyed how much it lasted, and I was really having fun with it overall. I just wish, like I said, that would have used a little bit more stuff from outside, because they went outside of the ring itself. But I wish it wouldn't have, they had any weapons or anything they could bring to use that instead, because it didn't feel like an ODQ match.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say in defense of this, and to try to kind of something that I think you can take into account when you talk about this is, remember that this, again, I'll go back to, it's the third event on the same day in the same building. Most of the crowd is probably a very similar crowd, and we've just had CZW before you. That's the only thing I'm going to say when it comes to that, is to remember that the show that preceded this was CZW.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of done the whole weapons and galore thing probably earlier in the day. And to kind of give it, I think the benefit that it gives it is, I love seeing a no disqualification match where the referee kind of forget, like you say it's a negative. For me, it was almost a positive, because you had Boujii in the referee's face. No, I can do this. I can do this. I'm allowed. He's yelling and screaming that he's allowed. And I was like, I think this is a great opportunity to be like, if Boujii were to lose because of that, I think it would have been great, because Boujii could be like, I lost, but I shouldn't have lost. Like, the referee took the title away from me. I should have been able to use the title. Like, I get my rematch. I think that there's a story to tell there that I think could have worked for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, yeah, it is what it is. And like I said, I just think that it's more the fact that it's an event where CZW just ran an hour or so before. So you can't necessarily just go ahead and just do a hardcore match the way you normally would in that spot. We then have intermission, which is great. I got to meet a handful of people. I got to talk to, like I said, I got to talk to Marty Bell. I got to talk to Shane Rose. I got to go ahead and meet Raheem Royale. I can actually show off the 8x10. No, that's not the 8x10 I'm looking for. You're not the droid I'm looking for. Here we go. Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I got to have some fun during this, talk to some people, tell Shane Rose about taking over, and he seemed relatively interested in the idea of a show chronicling different independent promotions. Like, he was like, that seems interesting. Like, you don't just stick with one. I'm like, no, we find shows, we find wrestlers that we don't know and that we haven't seen, and we try to educate ourselves and others on, you know, the width and breadth of what professional wrestling can be and everything that it involves. And that's something cool that we do that not a lot of places do, where We're not hyper focused on one independent promotion, and we get to kind of take our shots with whatever we want, whatever seems to fit us on that particular week that we want to watch. So yeah, we then finish our intermission and come back to the show, and of course we are now into our Fatal 4-Way Women's Pro Wrestling Junkies Women's Championship match, which of course means seeing the stunner Emily Jaye, the Pro Wrestling Junkies Women's Champion, taking on the WWE ID Women's Champion Laynie Luck, title not on the line, taking on Valentina Rossi, who is now Kayla Capri on all of her independent shows because of the new WWE ID rule that's taking place. Taking on TNA's own Jada Stone, the Spark herself. Astrid, you are our resident women's wrestling expert here at our local establishment. What you got?
I'll say first, seeing this match with Jada, it just makes me think how she's underutilized in TNA. I barely see anything from her, and she's so great. I can't even describe her, the way she does things, but she has such a different style. Plus, every time I see her, I just think that would be me if I wrestled, because she's as tiny as I am too. But I like how that doesn't stop her from actually outshining a lot of people too. Like, she's able to like make herself stand out even though she's smaller than everybody else. And her high flying moves are just amazing to watch. This one though, I don't know if you felt the same, but the match felt shorter to me. I feel like I would have done a little bit longer than what it was. It felt very fast paced, so I feel like that made it feel short in itself for me, because I wanted to see more from Laynie, for example. I feel like we barely saw anything from her in this match. I feel like it was more like Valentina being involved in there, and Emily did a lot of stuff which I loved. She did the like Trish Stratus move that I love in the corner. Every time she does that, I adore that move. So I loved seeing that from her. Jada did a split leg moonsault that was just beautiful to watch as well. I wish that at that part that Valentina would have waited a little bit more before pulling her out, because the fact that Jada landed and then you barely see like the results of the moonsault before Valentina kind of pulls her off to try to do the pin there. So I feel like I would have waited a couple more seconds before that happened, just to like let people marinate on what just happened before she interrupts it. I like Emily just taking over the way she did at that point. She did that head scissors try to like sort of Trish Stratus move, and she did I think 2 stunners. I think one of them was to Valentina herself before she retains the championship.
Yeah, this match was great. It was great seeing Emily Jaye in person for the first time, being able to watch her wrestle and work and all the fun stuff. Jada Stone was fantastic. Second time seeing her, second time seeing Laynie Luck, first time seeing Valentina Rossi. She was great. This match had the second least amount of time on any match on the card, and it was only 5 seconds shorter than the 6-way scramble match. And the tag team match was actually a minute shorter than this. So in terms of, which I think is funny, because this match is the only match on the card that feels like it was too short. I agree with you 1,000%. I don't feel like this match got enough time. But at the same time, there's a match that had 5 seconds more and a match that had a minute less. And neither one of those matches felt shorter than this, which I thought was really interesting in the way that you perceive certain things when a way does. Like a 6-person match and a tag team match that involves 6 people. And in both of these instances, the first one that involved 4 people felt shorter. You felt shortchanged a bit on it. To put it in perspective, the other women's match on the card did get 12 minutes and 13 seconds, which is the 4th longest match on the card. So they did give their women time to wrestle, but they gave just over, we'll say, 20 minutes in total on about a 2-hour show. Which again, 20 minutes for 2 matches isn't necessarily too short, but it could have been more considering what we've got going on. But then again, it does get primary spotlight as the match coming out of an intermission, which is good, because you have that prime spotlight as people are getting ready for the second half of your show. You didn't have it too early in the show, so you didn't have to worry about people not being there. But yeah, this is fantastic. I really enjoyed this. I agree, Jada Stone. I forgot until they announced TNA superstar Jada Stone that she worked for TNA. Yeah. I forgot. because you never hear about her on the TNA broadcasts.
No, I feel like it's her and the Mila. Mila Grace, another one that I feel like you cannot hear her from her and you don't at the same time. And Harley's another one, but Harley just had a match against Tessa, so at least they were featured recently. But her and the Milas, for example, I almost like kind of forget that they were signed just because we see them and they kind of disappear for a while and they come back, so it doesn't feel like they're too consistent with them.
Yeah, but does working with Tessa really constitute working, or is that just a punishment?
No, but I mean, at least she was on. I mean, at least Harley was on TV though, so at least I could say, "Oh, Harley was featured recently." You know, that's my point. I don't care about Tessa.
I was going to say, that almost seems like a punishment here. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just like, my point is that at least we saw Harley featured on TV recently, and I can't remember the last time that I saw Jada, for example, compared to Harley. That's my comparison. I don't care about Tessa whatsoever.
And by the way, I will say, for anybody who talks about wrestlers being tall, short, whatever, Emily J is surprisingly tall because I'm about 6 feet tall. I'm a little under 6 feet tall. I'm a little hunched over. Emily's got her knees slightly bent, and she and I are almost essentially the same height, which means that she towers over Astrid.
It didn't feel that way when I was with her, ironically.
I don't know how, because you've explained to me how tall you are, and I put in perspective how tall you are, how tall I am.
What shoes does she have on? Boots?
She has on her wrestling boots, but they're not heels. Like
I know. But she didn't have boots on when I saw her, so maybe that made a difference.
Maybe?
I don't know, but she didn't feel that tall to me. So when you told me it's like she feels tall, I'm like, I don't know, because I was just like more in the moment with her more than anything. I just
I know,
feel like she was.
I mean, I'm telling you, like.
Wait, did you bring her Red Bull, white Red Bull?
Of course I did. I handed it to her. She said she was going to add it to the stack of Red Bull that she apparently got from this show.
That's how you do business. There you go. The white Red Bulls. You can never forget when Emily's around.
I made sure to stop before the show. I'll even throw this one out there in case Ella or Jose ever hear this and tell Emily this. I was terrified of whether or not I should even bring it over because of the fact of like fans giving somebody a Red Bull. I'm like, I don't know if that's kosher or whatnot. Like,
she'll post it.
No, I know she will. She took it and she was extremely happy and gave me a hug for it. But I'm just saying, I'm like, I had that moment where I messaged you like as the show's getting over, and I'm like, do I go over with the Red Bull, or do I just like have her sign the Red Bull as like a cool little like memento that I have a white monster? You're like, no, just give her the fucking Red Bull.
I was like, you have to give it to her. You can't say after you bring it over, you can't take it back.
I mean, I could, but I didn't.
No.
But yeah, no. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed meeting her. She is a lovely, lovely human. Yeah, it's just great to. And again, I felt like it kind of like finishes the trilogy because like I've worked with Ella, I've worked with Jose, I've now seen Samira, I've now met Emily. Like I feel like I'm part of the circle there now because I've met all the peoples. Moving on to our semi-main event, we have number 1 Ichiban. Again, local guy who doesn't normally work for promotion, taking on guy who does work for promotion, KJ Orso, otherwise known as Fuego del Sol. The fans don't like KJ. They really don't like him. They really wanted him to go away. An awful lot. The fan chants during this match got very creative. I don't know how many of them came across on television. And I don't say that because I don't remember, because I did watch it. But in my mind, I think everything back to what I heard while I was there. Mm-hmm. And I can't, even listening to it on TV, know that if it's like this Mandela effect where I was there so I know what was chanted, so I hear it in my own head versus what was actually chanted.
I get that.
But no, they did not like KJ Orso. Much like myself, I felt finally in the right with all of the Pro Wrestling Junkies fans, because I felt like I was rooting for the wrong people most of the night, because they seemed to love all the people that I was like rooting against for most of the night, until we get here, which was great. However, God, KJ Orso is fucking fantastic in that.
I was waiting for the hatery, but sure.
He is hatefully good in that professional wrestling ring. He knows who he is. He knows what he does. And he's learned how to be just the biggest shithead heel and absorb it. Like, he told us he was going to make Ichiban tap. Ichiban passes out. He told us he was going to try to unmask Ichiban. Throughout the match, he tries to do it. He focuses on one body part for a majority of the match, trying to break down Ichiban's shoulder and his arm. Like, he's so good at what he needs to do. He is a legitimate heel in every sense of the word, and I cannot believe how much I appreciate the work he had in this match. If you've not seen him work outside of the Fuego del Sol character from AEW when he was there as AEW Dark, you need to give the KJ Orso version of Fuego a look. And not to continue to promote a brand because we're reviewing their show. Their next show, No Days Off, happens on... Hold on. I has the flyer.
You have all the souvenirs on the left?
No, this was given to me. This was on our seats. This is their next show.
Everything you got from the show, you got on your left.
Well, yeah, because that's where I have my little cubby hole next to my desk. I also have, since we're doing souvenir shit, and Ashley's going to make fun of me, for buying a front row seat, I did get an exclusive trading card, which is animated Miracle Generation with the Pro Wrestling Junkies.
What? How was I going to make fun of you for that? That's so cool.
Well, you're making fun of me for all my merch. So
no, I'm making fun of you because I see everything coming up on the same side.
But yes, on June 28th, at 5 o'clock, KJ Orso will be taking on somebody else. I forget who he's wrestling. I honestly do forget who he's wrestling. But the reason why I remember that this match is taking place and why it's so important is because Sammy Guevara is going to be the special referee, and it's a dog collar match. So I'm very excited for this. Actually, hold on. I can do this. I has the internet, and I have
I was about to look it up.
Yeah, I has their stuff here, so I can do this.
Do you?
I do. Go ahead and talk to me about your thoughts about Fuego del Orso.
So this is how I feel similarly to what I feel with Izzy. It feels weird to go from seeing Fuego del Orso to seeing KJ Orso because it just feels like two different people as a whole. And it feels weird when I see him. I'm like, I can't believe that's Fuego del Sol. And all of a sudden, it's just somebody completely different. And his character, like the heel persona of it too, the heel aspect is so different. Like if you were to tell me they're the same people, I wouldn't have believed you otherwise because it doesn't translate one to the other one. And he's very cocky in the ring, like you said. I like the fact that as a heel, he's focusing on the arm/shoulder Ichiban, like the way he is throughout this whole match. And he does it at least twice with the like crossface variation that he does. But I like that heel aspect of it too, that he's focusing on the things of like unmasking him and making him tap out and like telling us all those things, but he's also focusing on them as the match is happening. And the cockiness that he has, because at one point, I don't know if it was throughout after the one of the cross faces that he did, but he goes face to face with the referee. It's like, I can do this kind of thing. And it's like, I like the attitude overall that he has. And it feels so different to watch him versus Fuego del Sol and think of like, how can this be the same person but work so differently? And it shows how amazing and talented he is.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I did look this up. Alan Angels is the opponent. So there's going to be Alan Angels versus KJ Orso, dog collar match with Sammy Guevara as a special guest referee. It's that whole AEW trinity. And the only bad thing about that whole thing is that Sammy Guevara is involved. Latin God Sammy Guevara.
As I say at work, no speaking Spanish. I'm not going to comment on it.
No? No commentary on the Spanish God?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, I love this. I thought it was great. Second longest match of the card, 15 minutes. Actually, no, I apologize. It is the longest match on the card.
Oh, wow. Even more than the main event?
17 seconds. The main event is 15 minutes on the dot. KJ Orso Ichiban goes 15-17. So they're essentially the same amount of time, but slightly long. But speaking of the main event, we are here at our main event. And by the way, if you want to look up things with these companies, right up here, pwjcards.com is their website. You can go on there. And I do want to go ahead and go to that website for a moment because I do want to show you Pro Wrestling Junkies. The guy who runs this is a seemingly a cool dude who does a lot of cool stuff. But their website is one of the few websites for a wrestling company. Because they're also a card company, they have their merch store on their website that sells their autographed in specialty merch. So we're going to go ahead and give them a little shout out before we get to the main event. I didn't tell Ashley I'm going to do this, and I apologize for that. But it's fine. So if you go to their website, like you can pre-order this special Sinner and Saint autograph and base combo. It's going to have a split version with both Sinner and Saint in their autographs on it. And you can have things like Danhausen, Jacob Fatu, mystery packs with like damaged goods stuff. I have to be careful with some of these. Yep, here we go. We can go here. Charles Mason, Killer Kelly. You scroll real fast, pass a couple of those. Oh, we can go this row. Okay, this row's fine. You got TJ Perkins, you got Steve Macklin, Ryan Clancy. Emily Jaye has special variants along with Charles Mason. Like, it's cool that you've got like these just different interesting things that you've got. And like, you know, I think this is cool to have a wrestling company that specifically works with like wrestling cards and being able to get different merch that's not your standard typical merch. I think is really cool. So yeah, if you go to their website, prowrestlingjunkies.com, pwjcards.com, you can go ahead and get stuff like that right off their website. You can find them on Twitter at pwjcards, and you can find all their information for their next show, which I will tell you right now is, like I said, happening on June 28th. And the card is as follows. In a Dead Ops casket match for the PWJ Massacre Championship, we are having Boujii take on Sammy Diaz, Teriyaki, Marco Stunt, and a mystery opponent. We also have another four-way women's championship match for Emily Jaye. They just can't line her up with one person. They have to line her up with multiple people to try to take her down. And it's going to be Emily Jaye taking on Zeta Steel, taking on Izzy Moreno after her win at this show, and a mystery opponent. In a singles match, we have Angel Ortiz taking on Jonathan Gresham.
Oh, pretty good.
Alan Angels versus KJ Orso with Sammy Guevara, the Spanish God, as the special referee in this dog collar match. The intergender tag team match is going to be Junie Underwood and Journey Burke. Junie Underwood and Journey Burke taking on Midas and Blazing Lion. So, yes, the main event will be back taking on Journey Burke and Junie Underwood.
Oh, so we just done our law, but in the separate matches.
Wait, no, hold on. I'm sorry. I've mixed up two matches there. Sorry. The intergender tag match will be Junie Underwood and Journey Burke taking on Shane Rose and Rachel Leigh. Ringmaster Midas and the main event will be in the tag team championship match against Miracle Generation. The spacing of the tweet got me all out of focus. In a singles match, Eddie Kingston will be taking on Tracy Hot Sauce Williams. In a 2-on-1 death match, Dr. Redacted will be taking on Daron Richardson and Diamond Virgo.
Oh.
And your main event is a 3-way for the championship, the PWJ championship, with Marcus Mathers, Hoka the Hybrid King, both challenging the winner of our main event from this show, which was Charles Mason taking on TJ Perkins. Charles Mason retained, and he will be in that main event. This is fucking phenomenal. I adored every minute of this match. Things I learned watching Charles Mason live for the first time. Women adore him the way men and women adore Rhea Ripley. And I mean in the right, in the most wrong of ways possible. Charles Mason was doing photo ops after the show because he didn't do photo ops during the intermission portion, where his photo op opportunity is 2 hands around the neck with him looking at you and trying to lick you. And I shit you not, you would think, oh, this is a special request. No, I saw this exact same interaction with 5 people in a row, both men and women. I'll be honest, I saw these 5 people do this while I was in line to meet Charles Mason, and then I left the building without meeting Charles Mason. Because I'm not sure I could have lived with that photograph of me living. Because I couldn't show it to you, because I never lived that down. Which means I could never show it to anybody, because if I showed it to anybody, it would make its way back to you. The other thing I've learned about Charles Mason is is incredibly creative. Not only when it comes to his in-ring persona and his in-ring antics. His theme song. Did you recognize his theme song from somewhere and just couldn't put your finger on what it is?
I can't remember what it was, to be honest. I watched it this morning, so it's been a little while.
His theme song is a song called Ka-Ching. I know this because I had this album growing up in high school or after high school. The singer of this, by the way, the singer you would say is a man on the Charles Mason version. It's not. It's a slowed down version of a Shania Twain song.
I don't remember that's one of those that I thought sounded familiar. I had to look back at it.
I heard the song and instantly started singing it and couldn't for the life of me fucking figure out where it was. To the point where I had to look up the words of the song to figure out what the song title was. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me that it's Shania Twain.
Wait, did you literally Google the lyrics or did you hum it to Google? Because it's 2 different things, if you didn't know.
No, I Googled the lyrics.
Well, I would tell you because I taught Luis how to do this. Because if you download the Google app itself and you click on the microphone, you can hum the song and it still will come up. So that's what I do hear when it happens.
Interesting. I love his. I love his theme. I love his whole vibe. Like he is another guy. The match I need to see, and I'm sure it's already happened, but I now need to see it more than ever now, is I need to see Charles Mason versus Cross.
Oh.
Because I can see Cross and Scarlett playing along with everything that Charles does. And I can see them really making magic with the in-ring portion of what it is. Because his antics are creepy, to say the least. Like, he licked the sweat off of TJ's face. he kept begging for TJ to hit him harder like a masochist. He is fucking phenomenal. He is a vibe. He is like, I know I say I'm an old man and I don't understand lingo. I know what I'm talking about here. Charles Mason isn't a professional wrestler. Charles Mason is a vibe. He changes the way you feel when he walks into the room. Everything changes. And again, the reason why I say Rhea Ripley is because she does the same thing. Mm-hmm. When Rhea works, when Rhea was working in Judgment Day, when Rhea was working on her own against Judgment Day, when Rhea works with Io, there's a different vibe in the room the moment she gets on your TV screen. Mason has that it factor that makes him somebody you can't take your eyes off of. And he wrestled fucking TJ Perkins on this show. Former Cruiserweight champion. Former TNA champion. Like, TJ Perkins is world traveled everywhere and anywhere. Wrestled pretty much everybody when it comes to the style of wrestling that TJ Perkins works. And seeing TJ Perkins being choked out by a plastic bag wasn't on my bingo card for things that I was expecting to see in this match. This was fantastic. But the amount of women cheering for Charles Mason was kind of creepy.
I love because obviously I love books and I'm on Book Talk. So you describing that, I could just see him as somebody that if Book Talk saw him and his vibe, they will totally vibe with him.
Trust me, I saw the Book Talk people there in person. I saw the Book Talk person writing him a happy birthday message to people behind me as she's trying to explain to her boyfriend how much Charles Mason means to her.
So I was like, I laugh because I can see it because I seen it happen with Rhea Ripley too, that people will go on these like Facebook groups and go on Book Talk. It's like, can somebody give me a book recommendation that is based on these vibes, and they will put like pictures and videos of Rhea. I can see that happening, but with Charles instead, the way you portrayed it. And I was like, plus I know of somebody that has a song that starts with "Chuck Me Like You Hate Me," and I just can't get it out of my mind now after you said that, so that doesn't help me at all. But anyway, I'm gonna get into the match before I keep going about Book Talk here.
Okay.
This part, the one part that surprised me the most is that this is the first time I see TJ wrestling a slower style. Mm-hmm. I'm used to him being the like fast-paced cruiserweight style that's very, very like that quick pacing of it. And because he's wrestling Charles Mason, it's more methodical, slower than what I'm used to watching him do. So this felt something like new to me in that aspect of it, how slower it was compared to how he usually is. And he did very well with it, which I was like very surprised about too. I was waiting for that moment that he would pick up the pace, and it never did. But it didn't need to either. It was doing very well the way it was happening. I was very surprised by the part with the plastic bag. I was like, oh no, I can't believe I'm watching this. But I like the fact how easily Charles got out of it though when his teacher reversed it on him though. Yeah, it was so quickly done. I was not expecting that. I thought it would last longer with him wearing it like that completely rather than him getting rid of it the way he did. So I, like you said, it's like I like more than anything here, which is another reason why I like Mason so far, is that he stands out to me because of the character work, the way he is from like it's similar to what we said with Mateo earlier, like from the entrance up until the end, he's so dedicated to it. That slow pacing, the way he slowly walks, and the way he's walking, he's like staring at everybody and giving that slow kind of stare too. And even when he gets into the ring, he looks like teacher, and he still comes in very slowly too. It feels like not only a part of it, but it feels like mind games at the same time. And the way he does it and the way he moves is so calculated too. So it's like there were so many aspects of that. I was like, I'm glad I saw this match, and it was with TJ of all people, and the way it was because it did very well together. I was not expecting that when I first saw this card. I got used to the thinking, TJ's gonna pick up the pace, take out Charles, and that's how it's gonna become, and Charles gonna win at the end somehow. So I was not expecting the fact that TJ kind of meshed with him when it came to the pacing of the match and how well they did together. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. So it's like when this was done, I was like, dang, I wanted more from this match because I was enjoying it and it felt like it ended. I'm not saying the match was quick, but it's like I wanted more out of it because I was enjoying it so much. But yeah, overall, I love the whole thing with this match.
Yeah, this is just Charles Mason feels like he's ripped this character directly out of Book Talk. Like,
I want to know what's the inspiration.
he's the evil boyfriend that comes out of all of these Book Talk books that, like, I don't know how deep some of you people are on Book Talk, but I know because of Astrid, I'm somehow fucking 10 miles deep and buried alive in fucking Book Talk somehow. He's the kind of guy whose wrestling character would end up on there's a guy who does TikToks and Instagram reels where he goes, "Sir, that's not romantic, it's a felony." And Charles Mason feels like his entire character is above of all the things that those guys do in that, because everything he did in this match felt like a felony. Like, it's just, but again, I think Charles Mason might be one of my favorite professional wrestlers in the world right now. The way he carries it, like you said, carries himself. He's on another level. He is a television trained professional wrestler who's never really been on television wrestling. He's not been on NXT. He's not been on WWE. He's not been on, like, as himself. Like, I'm sure he's made dark match appearances for AEW at some point. Ring of Honor, AEW. I'm sure he's done dark matches. But, like, his character, the Charles Mason character that he portrays, has never been on a weekly television program repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he could be on television tomorrow and nobody would blink an eye.
And I think they mentioned, I think it was him that got trained by Amazing Red, which I was like,
It was.
I would never have guessed it based on his style, because Amazing is such a great, like, cruiserweight, fast-paced type of person. So when they said they trained him, I was like, wow. I was like, somebody like him whose style is so different from Amazing Red. Props to him, because he's looking great.
It's because of the fact that Mason is trained in the House of Glory generation. And it's so PWJ, House of Glory, and a couple other promotions run out of what they call the Mecca in New Jersey. It's a place in Ridgefield, New Jersey, where it's called the Mecca, and they all basically run the same building. And so that area is where Mason got trained, and Amazing Red is the one who runs, I believe, House of Glory. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Amazing Red is heavily involved in the running of Hog. And I think that's why I think Charles Mason was trained in the Hog, training school, and that means that Amazing Red is the main trainer. Yes, he does things that make me think of Amazing Red, but at the same time, he's so different that he's taken things from Red. And it just shows you how good somebody can be and how underrated training really can be in the professional wrestling landscape. But that was Pro Wrestling Junkies Wrestivus show. It didn't have a funky name like No Days Off has coming up. And again, like I said, you can follow them at PWJ. You can follow them at pwjcards.com. And like I said, they have a couple different shows coming up. There's all kinds of good stuff coming up. I really enjoyed this promotion. I think it's going to be fantastic to watch everything going on and everything that's got coming up. Also, something I didn't mention for that other show is Tay Mello is going to be there as well, with the Latin god being there. The wife is going to tag along, and she's going to be appearing, as the website says. But I had a lot of fun watching their stuff. This isn't the first time we covered one of their things. Well, it's the first time we're actually covering it. It was on the short list for another show before we realized that we were going to do the all-women stuff in March. Because there was a show towards the end of February, I believe, that we were going to cover that we ended up pushing because we realized that we could just do women's wrestling for all of March and decided to just do that instead. And I have a feeling based... Nothing. Do we not? Did we miss the part where Ed had the album? I had the Up album, the deluxe version. It had the pop version and the country version on it, the red and the green. I adore Shania Twain. Shania Twain is the best musician to ever come out of Canada. I said what I said. No, I adore Shania Twain. I just didn't think of the creepy dude character who has what sounds like a male singing a Shania Twain song, talking about how the root of all evil is money, being a Shania Twain thing from the creepy dude who's choking people in their post-match meet and greets. Like, I don't link Charles Mason and Shania Twain. Those two things just don't jive. Yeah. But Astrid, tell the good people where they can find you and what you've got coming up on your book talk.
Posting almost every single day, so you can follow me on there. Bobby and I did a Scary Movie 2 review with Jamie's on Pario Magazine's channel since the new movie is coming out. So we did the review, the second one for the 25th anniversary, I think it is, if I remember correctly. We talked about the second one, but we also what we expected or hope to see, not for the new one that's coming out in the next couple of days as well. So you can find that on Pario Magazine's channel. It's with Bobby and myself and Jamie, of course. Other than that, you can find me if you want my book talk stuff, or if you're here, you're probably on my YouTube channel, so you can hit subscribe and hit the like button if you can. I'm gonna try to working on putting on more like book content, but I guess I'll dive into my books that I forget to even record myself to do anything later. So I need to do better than that. And I know Peggy has been wanting more long form content or my little vlogs that I post on TikTok and Instagram. So working on it, but I keep forgetting to record myself when I'm enjoying my books. So that's my fail on my end. But yeah, that's where you can find me for now.
You can, of course, find me at all the normal places. But most importantly, you can go ahead and follow my tag team partner on Marvel Talk, Miss Peggy, as just mentioned, the aforementioned Peggy. She is going to be streaming most of the days this week. I know she said she's going to be back Thursday for the women's leading games thing that's coming up this week. She's also going to be here for the Xbox show that's coming up. She just streamed today the Sony State of Play show. She's got all kinds of stuff coming up this weekend, so you can go ahead and check out all of her stuff. Follow all her game reviews at OpheliaPayne.com or Linktree Ophelia Payne. All of her gaming content. She is wonderful. We adore her. Me and Andre get a chance to work with her every week on Marvel Talk when we have that. Speaking of Marvel Talk, we did tell you that we were going to be having an episode of Spider Noir coming up. It sounds like Spider Noir is going to be an Ed solo recorded video where Ed talks about it because life's been busy. Peggy's doing all the gaming stuff and it just fell at a bad time. Andre's been having a busy week with wrestling stuff and just not being able to get the time around to watching Spider Noir. So I may be dropping a solo recorded video talking about my thoughts on Spider Noir, which I have only watched up to now in black and white. It's going to be me solo. I might indeed watch it in color first before I do the review. I will, however, give those that are here a spoiler. I loved it. I fucking loved it. I think it's one of the best Spider-Man projects that's ever been done. Just saying. I was incredibly surprised how into Nicolas Cage being a Spider-Man that I got into this. I didn't think it would work. I wanted to watch the show to ridicule it, and I fucking loved every minute of it. I really did. So yeah, I catch my long-form review of that coming up in the near future. But because of myself, for Astrid Bizarro, thank you for joining. Oh yeah, Ole Podcasts. Find us at all the places. Ole Podcasts on all your social media platforms. Our local establishment on YouTube and Twitch and all that kind of fun stuff. Although you won't find this one on Twitch because for some reason it's not there. So we'll see if we can upload it later as a VOD or something because I don't know how the hell that's going to work. But we'll figure it out. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back probably 2 weeks. 2 weeks with a wrestling show. What show? Who knows? We haven't decided yet, but we will. Until then, I've been Ed. This has been Ashton. Bye-bye. I am in misery.